Looks like our buddy Netflix and Chill took out Solo in the losers round and moved on to the loser round semifinals. So what is this? Game number 4. It's game number 4 of the semifinals of the winners bracket. Summerloud versus Scaphism.
Welcome, Commander.
So Scaphism is up 2-1, but we just saw a really good Nerazim showing from Summerloud. Okay, in the bottom left, we've got Summerloud, who random Kala Nerazim Swarm Covenant, getting Swarm, and in the upper right, Scaphism choosing Raiders, saying, not playing around anymore. I think the Terran factions are definitely his strongest, seemingly Raiders. But we've seen some really crazy Dominion games from him in the past. Go on my channel, and or just search on YouTube. You can look for Dominion v Dominion Scaphism, because he played Winter StarCraft, well-known StarCraft 2 streamer, and that game lasted like 45 minutes, and it was incredible. This is a Dominion v Dominion. And we saw the tech trees of both used in their entirety. It was so cool. Okay, so how is Swarm going to handle Raiders? You kind of got like a Brood War Terran faction versus a Brood War-ish Zerg faction, right? They're not Brood War, I say that, but they do function a little bit more like Brood War than their respective other race factions. Like Nerazim and Dominion are much more StarCraft 2-esque. Whereas these are kind of a mix of StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2. Swarm, you got your typical Zergling, Hydralisk, there is no Roach, Zergling, Hydralisk, Mutalisk, Ultralisk. Those were kind of your big four in StarCraft 1, and the big four, as I'll dub them, all have the ability to change their adaptations. So once we see a Zergling spawn, oh, look at this little more of harassment stopping. Ah, okay, it moved out of the way just in time to allow Summerloud to take his expansion. But he does have to be wary of those fast Raiders rushes, as we saw in Game 1. But they all have the ability, all the Zerg units have an ability to adapt, the big four. So Zerglings, for example, can increase their attack. It's either their attack increases by 1, or maybe I think it just increases their movement speed. It's nothing huge, but it's enough that if you change it in the right circumstance, it could make a big difference. So they each have 2 types of strains. And so like Zergling, for example, I think one is movement speed, and the other is thorns. So they deal a little melee damage back on top of if they're getting attacked by melee units. So it'd be really good to use that if you were facing Protoss and you expected a lot of early Zealots or something like that. And then as you move into later game, I think the movement speed stacks with metabolic boosts so you can be even faster. So things like that make a big difference. I just noticed, I think this has always been here, but it's nice to mouse over these every so often and notice there's a Zergling upgrade for rapid gestation, so your Zerglings spawn in groups of 3 and more faster, basically Swarmlings. Pretty good late-game Terrazine upgrade right there, and also costs a lot of Vespene. A lot of these late-game upgrades in HeptaCraft are absurdly imbalanced, and I'm not afraid to say that. The thing is, they're very late game, and your opponent has their own imbalanced things that they can do. So if everything's imbalanced, everything then is balanced. Okay, so what do we have here? We got a fast starport for Scaphism. He saw Summerloud complain. He's like, everyone's going Banshees today. So I expect him to make Banshees now, because he specifically knows Summerloud was not happy with the amount of Banshees we saw today. Not happy. That's an over-exaggeration. Another short map, though. We saw a really interesting play on this map between Summerloud and Netflix and Chill, where I said this is either going to be a really short game or it's going to be a very intense back and forth long game, and it was the latter. So we'll see what it's going to be like this time around. Again, we might see some Banshees. Banshees? No, Wraiths. Okay, what does that mean? Why not Banshees? Oh, I'll tell you why not Banshees, because he can use Wraiths to kill Overlords, like, immediately. So that actually is really, really clever by Scaphism. Not something we've seen before in HeptaCraft, just Wraith Rush. Interesting. They're pathetic and probably not going to be able to kill any workers, but if you kill enough Overlords, you can certainly frustrate your opponent into making big mistakes. Alright, we have a Zergling sitting on the Watchtower, so he may catch those Wraiths. I think he's going to see these. Oh yes, very easily and plainly sees the Wraiths. The Zelnaga Watchtowers on this map are very important because of the rush distance. And down goes one Overlord, already supply blocking Summerloud. He's going to get maybe another one. Does he see it? He saw the Overlord, but he just went by it. He's just looking for more. And that ground damage doesn't seem that bad. He is killing workers. No mend coming out from Summerloud. These 2 Wraiths doing their job, though. And what do we have coming out? Creep colonies. No spore colonies yet. He doesn't have the money to turn them into spore crawlers. 3 workers going down already. Oh, 5 workers going down already. What did I miss? Did I miss workers getting killed? Probably scouting workers going down or something. 3 Wraiths out. Look at this Wraith Rush. Who was making fun of Wraith ground attacks, huh? Look at the micro here from Scaphism is doing like a stutter move with the Wraiths. And you know, one of these Wraiths is Charlie Vane. We'll say that. One of them is Charlie Vane. Oh, that's gotta be so frustrating. It has to be so frustrating. Look at this Wraith Rush. Charlie Vane leading Raiders to victory. As we all well know, that Charlie Vane changed his identity to Matt Horner, so it makes sense that he's with the Raiders faction. He morphed the wrong ones. Oh, he turned them into spine crawlers and he meant spore crawlers. That actually does have to be incredibly frustrating. Okay, 1 spore colony done. Ooh, it got all of its health back after it finished morphing. That's very interesting. Now he's shooing the Wraiths away, but there's a huge supply advantage and worker advantage. Oh dear. Well, there is a spore colony here. He can just keep keep doing that. Well done by Summerloud, though. He's grabbing some of the low workers and turning them into creep colonies. Let's just watch this as it ticks up. 15 workers lost. Soon to be a creep colony, maybe. And Scaphism is not bringing any ground units on the back end of this. It's because he doesn't have any. He sunk all of his money into Wraiths. He has nothing else. Let's check the units tab. Both players have virtually nothing besides these Wraiths. Man, oh man, that's tougher to deal with than I would have expected. Valiant Zergling taking out the expansion. Okay, well, now what? Again, there's 6 Wraiths out on the field. And we've got another spore colony coming out. I mean, there's 2 spore colonies. That should be enough. These Wraiths shouldn't be able to do as much as they're doing, but they are. They're going to get rid of these sunken colonies, or spine crawlers as well. It's really forced Summerloud to put a lot of money into just extra creep colonies that he shouldn't have to. Then he can morph those into other things. Okay, moving these back so we can get more spore colonies. And what's Scaphism following up with? Marines and tanks. Pretty standard Raiders. No vultures. Instead of vultures, he's decided to sink that money into Wraiths. And what a weird opener from Scaphism that completely paid off. And here comes the follow-up, and I don't think there's going to be anything for Summerloud that can stop this. And that's going to be the end of the semifinals, as Summerloud saying that this one sucked. But hey, look at those options. Look at those options in HeptaCraft. Summerloud saying they still have a chance to see each other in the finals. Scaphism, a guaranteed finals competitor. Summerloud falling into the loser's bracket with still a chance to swing